You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't kick on the mic.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? We are back and ready for Week 12 primetime action. The Chicago Bears are on Monday Night Football to take on the Minnesota Vikings. And once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Isaiah Fry. How you doing, Isaiah?
Doing good. How you doing?
Not good. Not good whatsoever. After what I witnessed against the Detroit Lions, I think that one takes the cake. Out of the 26 years of my life watching the Chicago Bears, I've watched a lot of bad Bears football. That one takes the cake. Give me your initial reaction to that loss to the Lions.
You know, so I sat and watched the whole game, and I was watching the whole game, and in my mind, I'm thinking throughout the game, I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm on the bandwagon of just running it back. You know what I mean? They're about to beat the Detroit Lions at their place. You know, the defense is balling, offense is balling, Justin Fields is balling, Getsy's calling a great game. Like, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you know what? They win this. I'm on the bandwagon of, you know, let's consider running everything back with those two top picks that we're getting next year. And then the last 5 minutes of the game, man, I instantly thought what Bears fans have been feeling for the last X amount of years, man. Because I sat and watched the whole game. I'm just like, I feel bad. I feel bad just because the inept, and you can't even blame the players on that, man. That was all coaching that lost them that game last Sunday against the Lions.
Did it ever cross your mind with 4:15 left up by 12 that the coaches can get in the way of yet another disappointing Bears loss?
No. When like we talked about before, when Justin got that first down on that 30-yard scramble and did his little dance, I was like, man, it's game time. This is game over. Like, you know, this is a fantastic win, man. They should be talking about keeping Eberflus and everybody involved. Looking good. But then you see the last 5 minutes, and you see the difference between some of the top tier head coaches opposed to what the Chicago Bears are working with right now. It's just, it wasn't good football. What made me mad more than anything was the responses that we got after the game.
Yeah.
You know, kind of point fingers on who to take the blame. And when you're up by that much with 5 minutes left, the percentages say you shouldn't lose. And unfortunately they lost, and that's just the way the Chicago Bears season is going right now.
Yeah, and I think that's one of my biggest issues with Matt Eberflus and his tenure as a Bears head coach is that he never takes accountability. It's always like, okay, let me look at the tape. Oh, the players need the finish.
Yeah.
The players, the time of possession was 40 minutes compared to the Lions 19. The turnover battle was won 4-1. You got great quarterback play from Justin Fields coming back from his thumb injury, but you still sit and point fingers at the players.
Yeah, that was unfortunate to see. Like as a coach, you gotta look within first and take your own accountability to the loss. And quite frankly, it wasn't the coaches. The players played their butts off, man. Like aside from the defense, giving up those last 2 to 3 series, but you could even make an argument that the defense that they were running was just wrong. That prevent defense, just thinking that you're up at the time is going to get it done. Continue to run what was working throughout the game, and I promise you win that game. So
yeah.
And just listening to after the game, when they that last offensive series, when the first and second down, they ran the ball twice, and they're saying it's a run RPO, and it's like, dude, like everybody in that stadium knew exactly what you were trying to do in that moment. You were trying to get them to run their timeouts out. How about you throw something off script and let them? I actually, at every play, I like the third down play because I actually, that should have been completed, but it's just it was too predictable, and that's the reason why they lost.
Simply put, it seems like Luke Getsy and Matt Eberflus were scared to win. They panicked up 12 with 4:15 left. It seemed like they panicked. And that's why I think there's question marks in their future as coaches of the Chicago Bears, because good teams, in which I know the Chicago Bears are not a good team, but good teams finish those games, right? You even had the Lions shocked. You could see the players on the sideline like, damn, like the Bears, kicked us in the mouth. They punched us in the mouth. We talked about that, like, attacking Detroit, right? Before they attack you, and they played the perfect game, but just yet could not finish.
It was so disheartening to see, man. And I felt bad for the players more than anything because they played their butts off, man. Honestly, like Detroit's one of the top 2 to 3 teams in the NFC right now. We can definitely say that, and they gave it to them. There was no reason why the Chicago Bears should have lost that game, and they did. And it wasn't because of the players. It was because of the coaches.
And obviously, you brought it up already that would have been a statement win for Matt Eberflus, for Justin Fields. That would have really, made people second guess. Like, okay, like you said, let's run it back now with these coaches. I think Justin Fields did still prove enough. It was a step in the right direction. Of course, once again, you want to see those wins, but he can't get past the coaching staff.
At all, at all. If you're a fan looking at this game and you blame it on Justin Fields, that tells me more than anything that you didn't watch the game.
And you don't know football. If you blame that loss on Justin or any of the players at that, you don't know football.
Yeah, I was even impressed with the D line, man. They was playing their butts off. Like, offensive line did what they were supposed to do. Yeah. Everybody played a complete game aside from the people calling the game, and that's the worst way to lose as a player.
And I was telling my dad as we were watching the game, I was like, when's the last time you've seen Jared Goff this flustered?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was like a different feeling, like, oh, wow, they prepared well for this game. But in key moments, like you brought up, obviously up 26-14, 4:15 left. I wasn't mad at that first score. It was more about it only took the Detroit Lions a minute and 15 seconds to score that first touchdown. If they would have put up more of a fight, kept doing what they were doing, what got them in that situation, and they still scored, I would have been fine with that. But it was definitely a letdown.
Oh, definitely. Because you see throughout the game what Eberflus was doing. He was doing a great job calling the game on defense. Yeah. He was bringing pressures on first and second down. He was disguising on third down, dropping back. Like he was doing – he had a really good flow of the game and what they were trying to get done. And then they went up by 12 with 4:15 left. And they went back into their just strict cover 2. And that was it. Yeah. And everybody knew exactly what they were running. They seen the 2 high safeties. They seen exactly what they were doing. And it was unbelievable to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't even want to watch back the tape because it was the same old Chicago Bears. For the first 56 minutes, that was the best football I've seen this Bears team play. And even going back to the Washington Commanders game, this was a dominant performance against a very good Detroit Lions team. So it's like, it gets you wondering, like, man, there's more out there. And that's when you really start thinking that I think we have the right players in place. Now you start really looking at the coaching. I said this perfectly on my podcast this week. Going into this game, it was an evaluation of Justin Fields in these last 7 games and an evaluation of Luke Getsy and Matt Eberflus. But I feel like Justin Fields continues to do enough to move forward with him, at least for next year. Now it's going to start becoming a more of an evaluation of, should Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy coach Justin Fields in 2024?
I would hope so. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how business works. Like, Ryan Poles is obviously looking out for himself as well. And like I said, and you said a couple of weeks ago, I can see him moving on from Justin Fields just to buy himself more time. But I don't see them finding another quarterback like him to come in and be as successful as he is with the people that he's working with right now. You imagine if they keep Justin Fields and just build around him with those 2 top picks that they got and be able to just continue to add in free agency.
Yeah.
They got a good team, man. They just need the right people running the ship. Yeah,
I definitely agree. So Justin Fields, how impressed were you with his play against a very good Detroit Lions defense on Sunday?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I wasn't surprised. I mean, we've been preaching this since we've been blue in the face for the last 2 years, man. This is what I'm starting just to expect this from him, because that's the type of player he is. He played fantastic as usual, and I think he showed a lot of people that he's able to stay in the pocket and make those tough throws down the field and go through his progressions, which he's been try to get ridiculed from a lot of different people, but he has the total package, man. I don't care what nobody says. Like if you are you in blue in the face, man, this dude's a baller, and Chicago Bears would be done to move on from him.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I want you to kind of sit in GM Ryan Poles' shoes right now. So you're the GM of the Chicago Bears moving forward. You have the number 1 overall pick, and let's say the Bears end up at the number 4 overall pick, have $100 million in cap space. We don't have to go into free agency. We can do a bigger video later on, but just give me your idea of what you would do moving forward.
Gotcha. So I'm not too familiar with a lot of the college players and their positions. I know a couple. I do know who I would take with the number 1 pick. 100%. You're taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
Absolutely.
Him, DJ Moore is insane. Him, DJ Moore, and Justin Fields is unbelievable. I do that. Number 4 pick, I'm picking another D lineman.
Okay.
And and I'm adding to that defense. I'm adding to them picking up sweat, and then you got something brewing if you do it that way. And then obviously you want to add up with the free agency with the offensive line, and maybe add another safety or whatnot. But after that, man, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah. So you don't think Ryan Poles should trade down with any of those picks? You just take two generational talents in the draft and move forward.
Definitely. You don't trade them down, man. You traded down last year, and it worked out because you got DJ Moore, but you don't. Use those two top picks, man. That's going to be the last time you get an opportunity to do this. And you don't pass up on a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr. That dude's unbelievable.
Yeah, a lot of people, and to your point about, you bring up the point about the reason why you don't want to get rid of Justin Fields right now is that there's no guarantee that Caleb Williams, Drake May work out, right? And Justin Fields is obviously light years better than him right now, and he has proven that he can play in the NFL. We don't know that from Caleb Williams or Drake May, right? But when you look at Marvin Harrison Jr., for example, he's close to a for sure thing. And I hate putting that label on athletes, especially coming out of college, but he looks like a generational for sure talent coming out of Ohio State.
100%. And you can thank his dad for that. His dad is a Hall of Famer, man. He has no other way other than to be a fantastic player when he gets into the league. So he's going to know how to, take care of his body, manage the professional schedule. He's going to already be professional, NFL ready by the time he gets drafted. So that's a slam dunk pick. I wouldn't go any other way.
And I was right on par with you about number 1 overall pick, Marvin Harrison Jr., but at number 4 overall, and this just depends on how Braxton Jones finishes the season. I think he's been playing really good football since he's returned at that left tackle spot. I really like Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. When I look at Braxton Jones, I kind of ask him the question of what is his ceiling? And I think he was a 5th round pick, so I think he did exceed expectations, but what more can Braxton Jones give us? When I look at a guy like Olu Fashanu out of Penn State, I think he has the potential to be great. Like just the ceiling is endless for a guy like that. So I think it's important, right? You get left tackle, right tackle, you got Darnell Wright, and then you need a center as well, right? But that left tackle position is you need a good left tackle. So for me, that's what I would do.
I like that too. Like you go that route, and then you add some more D linemen in the free agency. That you go that route. You know what I mean? There's multiple ways to cut this plot pie. But I think the best way to do it is keeping Justin Fields. After saying all that, is keeping him in place so you don't have to waste one of those picks on the quarterback. That's just.
Yeah, and Isaiah, before we move forward to talk a little bit about the Bears-Vikings Monday Night Football game, if Justin Fields, let's go with the stat line against the Detroit Lions, 16 for 23, efficient football, 169, 1 touchdown to 0 interceptions, right? Took care of the football until, that last play of the game. I don't want to really count that. That was the last play of the game. And then let's say it rushes 18 carries, 104 yards. If that is the Justin Fields, and that's what we come used to with Justin Fields, that, Justin Fields usually between 150 to 200 yards passing, but then he can also add 50 to 100 yards rushing a game. He's a true dual threat quarterback when you use him the right way. Would you be comfortable building around that type of skill set with that kind of stat line?
You have to. You have to, man. You're not getting that anywhere else. Like, there's not too many guys in the league that can do what he's doing right now. Like, obviously you got the Lamar Jacksons and Jalen Hurts and whatnot, but aside from them, man, who else is able to come in and give you that stat line and continuously be able to hold on to the ball as long as he did? The reason why they were able to do that is because they were running RPO. Yeah. And it's tough for a defense to really commit on a running back or a quarterback pulling it on that RPO. So it's like that is an offensive coordinator's dream to be able to have that many weapons and be able to kind of just control the clock, man. I think it's a no-brainer for me just to build around him.
Yeah, I think the people that kind of struggle to actually, adjust to how the new age is of the NFL is that you no longer see the true pocket quarterback. And I think a lot of people look at the quarterback position, they're like, okay, he's not great if he doesn't throw for 300 plus yards every single game, or if he doesn't throw 3+ touchdowns every game. But when I look at Justin Fields, he usually has 250 plus total yards every game. And for me, he can kill you with his arm. He can kill you with his legs. And for me personally, going back to the Lions game, that was one of Justin Fields' statement games, how he was able to sit in the pocket, the throws that he was making. He looked comfortable in the pocket as well, right? He did it all. So for me personally, everyone knows how I feel. I would be very comfortable moving forward with Justin Fields and continue to build around him. And plus, he's only going to cost $6 million in 2024. So it's not like you have to pay him his contract next year, right? You can still give him one more year with, once again, a true offensive coordinator, a guy that has been there before. Ken Dorsey, for crying out loud, that just got fired from the Buffalo Bills. If you keep Matt Eberflus, just go get a guy like that to help Justin Fields out next year.
Right. And to add to your point on basically, the guy everybody liking a pocket quarterback, you see how the league's developed over the years. Like every position has changed over the years. You look at a linebacker, right? Linebacker is the perfect example. Back in the day, you had those guys like Ray Lewis, those run stoppers that are, A gap to A gap, just popping everybody through the hole. You don't see too many of those guys anymore. I'll go on record and saying, don't get me wrong, Ray Lewis is, if not the best linebacker ever, he's one of the top 3 linebackers ever to play the game. He wouldn't be as successful as he was in today's game as he was back then, just for the simple fact that the game is played now. So, for the football purists that want the quarterback to stay in the pocket, that's just it's not realistic anymore. That's not where the game's at.
And I do agree that, you have to make some throws within the pocket, which we saw that from Justin Fields in some of the good games that he's played. Against the Commanders, he sat in the pocket and made some big time throws. Against the Lions, he sat in the pocket and makes some big time throws. Even against the Broncos, he sat in the pocket and made some big time throws. To me, once again, that was just a check mark, right? Justin Fields needs now to play consistent football for the last 6 games. If he can do exactly what he did against the Detroit Lions for 6 more games consistently, and continue to put the Bears in a situation to win football games, I think Justin Fields is going to be safe for at least 1 more year, despite the whole, it's a business talk.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you can have every argument in the world if next year they keep him, they draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's not successful. You can have that argument because dude, you're working with two number 1 receivers outside. You know what I mean? Like, you can have that argument, man. But I just think right now it just doesn't make sense to waste a pick on another quarterback when you have one who's very successful right now.
And I'll go on the record right here, Isaiah, that if we do that, if we get Marvin Harrison Jr., you get Fashanu, and let's say you get Ken Dorsey, right? A more improved, upgrade at offensive coordinator rather than Luke Getsy, and Justin Fields still struggles, I'll be the first one to come on here and say, you know what? We gave Justin Fields everything to succeed in Chicago, and it just did not work out. Definitely.
I mean, and we can't even say that he's struggling right now. No. Teams they're just losing, and it's not because of him. It's the weirdest thing to say. I blame it on the quarterback, but they're just losing, and it's not the quarterback's fault. It's hard to put your thumb on it, man. But I think we all know the reason why. The Bears' record is what it is, and that game was the perfect example of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's go ahead and move on to some Vikings-Bears. This is the second time the Bears will face the Minnesota Vikings. The first time it was against Kirk Cousins. Obviously, Kirk Cousins unfortunately had a season-ending Achilles injury. I'm hoping he has a speedy recovery. But now the Bears get to see Josh Dobbs, and the Minnesota Vikings have looked really good under quarterback Josh Dobbs, and the Vikings defense has been playing really well as well. Obviously, the last time Justin Fields played the Minnesota Vikings, that was the game that he dislocated his thumb. And Brian Flores does a really good job of bringing a lot of pressure on the quarterback. I'm really looking forward to seeing how prepared Justin Fields is for this matchup, knowing what Brian Flores is going to do to him, right? So give me your initial reaction to this game against the Vikings on Monday night.
I like the matchup for the Bears, honestly. If you watched the game from last week, Justin Fields did a fantastic job under pressure last week. Whenever they were bringing pressure. He was, I want to say it was like 80% when the Lions are bringing pressure. So if he's able to get a hold on when and where they're coming from in this Viking games, I don't see why he's not going to be just as successful as he was last week. So I'm looking for Chicago to go out there and compete again like they did last week.
Yeah, bringing up the point, of his stats against the blitz against the Lions, he was 7 for 11, 89 yards, and a touchdown with a 119.2 passer rating. We look at the passer rating a lot. We don't like to look at the non-quarterback stat, the 6-26 record as a starting quarterback. Isaiah and I like to look at the QBR passer ratings, and I think that tells a lot about a quarterback, right? Yep. So I think Justin Fields will be okay as long as Luke Getsy, once again, caters to Justin Fields' strengths. Keep doing that RPO action. Get Justin Fields in a rhythm. And that's what Luke Getsy actually did really well in this football game against the Lions, that he got Justin Fields in a rhythm. And once you get Justin Fields in a rhythm, there's really no stopping the guy.
Definitely. Yeah. And kudos to Getsy, man. Like we've been his big critics on here, but I thought he called a fantastic game up to that last series. I just didn't like the first and second down plays, but he did a good job calling the game, man. He needs to do the same exact thing this Sunday against the Vikings.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you look at that first matchup against the Minnesota Vikings, we didn't do a good job of playing to Justin Fields' strengths, doing the RPO game, trying to get the run game going, getting Justin Fields on the move and rolling them out. I think that will be the game plan moving forward for the rest of the games, is continue that RPO action. Because once again, when you use Justin Fields' legs, good things will happen for your offense.
It's weird because it's like we've seen that the last 6 or so games last year, what they were doing, and it was successful, right?
Right.
They came in the beginning of the year with a whole different mindset of how they were going to utilize them, and that was the frustration with Justin when he was going on the podium saying, play to my strengths and let me get involved in the game and stuff. And we all see it. Like, his strengths is RPO, being able to get outside the pocket and be able to make a decision on whether he's going to pass the ball or take off with it. So, they just have to continue that and allow him, like you said, to get in the rhythm of the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So let's move across to the Chicago Bears defense. Obviously, the big storyline for the Minnesota Vikings, that looks like Justin Jefferson will return from injured reserve, and he should be good to go Monday night against the Chicago Bears. What do you think that the Chicago Bears defense needs to do in order to slow a guy like that down?
Keep getting pressure. Dobbs is playing really well right now, especially for what the circumstances that he has. But the D-line, if they keep playing how they're playing right now, I don't see why they're not going to have success like they did last week. D-line, they came in kind of, not with too many people to work with this year, but as of now, they're going out and they're playing solid. So if they can continue to play, they'll be fine.
Yeah, Montez Sweat is definitely heating up with each game that he has on the Chicago Bears defense. Kudos to TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds playing really, really good football. Same with Jack Sanborn. Obviously, Jalen Johnson had a easy pick six last week that he could have took back to the house. But overall, you can tell that under head coach Matt Eberflus, especially when Eberflus is calling the defensive plays, the defense looks really good right now. So I'm expecting the same thing up against Josh Dobbs and the Minnesota Vikings this Monday night.
Definitely, they're starting to pick up their speed on defense, man, and I'm very impressed with how they played the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get right to it. Obviously, give me your 3 keys to a Bears win against the Minnesota Vikings.
I want the same kind of calls that Luke Getsy had last week this week, man. I want him to get Justin Fields involved early, RPO action, rolling out. I think that was fantastic. And if you continue that, I don't see why they won't put up more points than they did last week. Continue to bring pressure on defense. And what I mean by that is don't call a great game for 55 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, let's do what we're doing in the beginning that's successful and call it out throughout the game until the whistle's blown and we've had this W in our pocket. I just didn't like the way that we went into prevent defense with so much time left.
Yeah.
And then, as always, continue to have the time of possession. I think that was a big reason why they were able to lead that they had within the time with the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, for sure. My one big key to this game, it's going to be very simple. I don't even got 3, Isaiah. I'm going to say 1. Finish. Just finish the damn football game. You played perfect football for 55 minutes. I think they're going to go in there and try to have the similar game plan that they had against the Detroit Lions, try to hit the Minnesota Vikings in the mouth. Right. And I think they will be able to do it. I think Justin Fields on prime time, he's going to step up and play really good football. But everyone on the football team, and this includes the Chicago Bears coaches, just finish the game.
Right, 100%. And I heard this when I was playing. About 70 to 80% of your games that you're going to play in as a player is going to come down to the last 2 minutes of the game. And that couldn't be more true than what we seen last week. It's just, that's the part of the game, man. And that's what separates the great coaches from the very average ones. So, like you said, man, finish is one that, if not the only key that they need to be worried about this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we go into our score predictions for this Monday Night Football matchup, Bears versus Vikings, is there any hope for head coach Matt Eberflus at this point, or do you think he's done?
Like I said, man, I was on the bandwagon last week on Sunday. I'm like, man, look, he got these boys playing good. We thought they was down and out. They're about to be one of the top teams in the NFC in their division. Like, why not consider, running it back? But after I seen that collapse, I don't see it happening any other way now. That's just unfortunate, man. But that's the way the game is. You can't go in there and play well for 55 minutes and come out with an L. That's not on the players, it's on the coaching staff. So,
yeah, I definitely agree, Isaiah. So this is our favorite part of the show. I know people enjoy it as well. Go ahead and give me your final score prediction. Who's winning this game? What's your score prediction?
I actually got the Bears winning this week. And the reason why I do is because I think they're going to build off that almost win that they had against the Lions last week. I got the Bears winning 30-21.
I love it. Yeah, I also have the Chicago Bears winning this week on Monday Night Football. I think Justin Fields is going to elevate his game even more and improve why he should be the franchise quarterback moving forward for the Chicago Bears. I have the Chicago Bears winning on Monday Night Football against the Vikings. Let's go 27-20.
I like it. Yeah, they built off that momentum last week. And, I mean, you can look at it two ways. It can either be momentum or it can be kind of a
letdown.
The letdown, exactly. So in the beginning, early.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. But once again, Isaiah, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic. I hope you and your family have a really safe and happy Thanksgiving. Once again, always a pleasure to have you on.
Most definitely. You as well. Happy Thanksgiving to you and everyone who's watching.
Yeah. And as always, Isaiah, bear down to you.
Bear down.
You've been listening to Keek on the Mic, a podcast all about the Chicago Bears. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Thanks, guys, and bear down.